problem, dude? My mom said we to get food, but I've never heard of this stuff. Get gravy bread, juice cookies, and jelly? What's a juice cookie? I think your mom just forgot a few commas. Get gravy, bread, juice, cookies, and jelly. That makes a lot more sense. Thanks, Captain Clock. And the Poultry Patrol. And the Poultry Patrol. There's something.
Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to discuss commas in a series. When you have a list of items in a sentence, you have to set those items apart with a comma. Let's look at the slides I have prepared for you, and we're going to practice this today. This is just kind of describing to you what items in a series is. So it says items in a series occur whenever a sentence includes a list of two or more items and can be single words such as nouns and verbs or phrases. When you list more than two items, you have to separate those items as follows. Put a comma between all items and put a comma plus an and before the last item. Example of the items in a series. We've got tortillas, comma, cheese, comma, and meat. Carol, comma, Sarah, comma, and Kayla. Orange, comma, purple, comma, and blue. Here are some examples of sentences that have items in a series. So if you're telling what you had for dinner and you said, for dinner I had soup, vegetables, and fruit, you would need your commas after soup, vegetables, and then after fruit, it's the end of the sentence, so instead of putting a comma there, you're going to put your period at the end. Okay? In the next sentence, we have, my favorite teachers are Mrs. Jimenez, Mrs. Miles, and Mrs. Goodbrand. So we're listing the teachers that we have as our favorites. After Mrs. Jimenez, we put a comma. After Mrs. Miles, we have placed a comma to separate that. Then we use our and at the end, instead of a comma, you're going to put a period because it's at the end of the sentence. Okay, in my last example, I have the stars, the moon, and the planets were all visible in the sky using a telescope. This items in the series comes at the beginning of the sentence instead of the end. We're still going to use commas after our items. We have the stars, the moon, and the planets. That's what we're listing. So after stars, we put a comma. After the moon, we put a comma. Then we put our and. And then after planets, we just go on with our sentence. There's no comma there. If it was the end of the sentence, we would have a period, but it's not, so you're just going to go on with no comma there. Okay, now you're going to get some practice of putting your commas in. Think of the things that they're listing, and then your commas are going to go after the items that they've listed. So here's the sentence. The casserole had meat, carrots, noodles, and cheese. Okay, so you're first going to think about what are the things that they listed that are in the casserole. Okay, so the first thing is meat, so I'm going to put a comma after meat. And then they listed carrots, so I'm going to put a comma after carrots. And then noodles, I'm going to put a comma after noodles. Then I have my and then I don't need a comma after cheese because that is the end of the sentence and that's where my period goes. Okay? Okay, this sentence is Sally, Cindy, Debbie, and Alice went to the fair. I'm going to have you think of who went to the fair. Think of the list of the people that went to the fair. I'm going to have you stop the video right now and think of where you would put those commas in. Then I want you to start it back up again, and we're going to see if you're right. Okay, so if I'm thinking about who went to the fair and I'm listing all the people, it was Sally, Cindy, Deb, and Alice. So I'm going to go in after Sally, and I'm going to put a comma. And then after Cindy, I'm going to put a comma. And then after Deb, I'm going to put a comma. Then I have my and there's not a comma after the last one. It's either a period or it just goes on with the sentence. So in this case, it's not the end of the sentence, but there's no period, no comma after Alice. Check and see if you did okay with that one. I bet you did. Okay, here's the next slide. We're listing our favorite sports. So it says, my favorite sports are hockey, gymnastics, and soccer. So think of the sports they listed, okay? And then I want you to go in and put commas where you think they belong. And then we'll check it. Okay, so the sports they listed were hockey, gymnastics, and soccer. So you should have gone in and after hockey, you should have put a comma. After gymnastics, a comma. And then you need your and at the end, after soccer, we don't put a comma, we put a period at the end. Good job. Okay, in this sentence, I want you to think about what things I need for the beach. Those are the things that are listed here. And then we're going to add commas after those items. So the sentence is, I need a hat, towel, and chair for the beach. Okay, so the items I'm taking to the beach are a hat, a towel, and a chair. Now you guys are old enough to know that there is no hat towel, but if you're younger, you might be confused on that. So that's why we need commas in here. So think about where you should have those commas, and we're going to check it. So after the items that you listed, the first one is a hat. You should have a comma there. And then after towel, you should have added a comma. And then after the third one, chair, we don't put a comma there. You just go on with your sentence. Okay, so on this slide, we are going to read these sentences and rewrite the sentence into a single sentence. Okay, so I want you to think about how you would do this. Here's the sentence. I have 3 favorite subjects in school. One is math, the others are history and science. So I want you to stop for a minute, stop the video, and think about how you could put that all into one sentence and use commas in a series in that one sentence. Okay, so hopefully you've thought about how you would put that in one sentence with commas in a series. I would do something like this. My 3 favorite subjects are... I'm going to list my favorite subjects then. I'm going to put math, history, and science. Okay, I'm going to put my period at the end. Then I'm going to think of the 3 things that are my favorites. They're math, history, and science. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to put my comma after math and put a comma after history. I don't need my comma at the end because I have a period there. My 3 favorite subjects are math, history, and science. Okay, hopefully that's what you did. And good luck practicing your commas in a series.